Mellow bass screaming, rubber burns on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Beast make a friction, sparks light the night. Track of war sounds, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my six, but my grip don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Rivals on my six, but my grit don't waver. Drafting wind sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Tires grip tight, flames dance on steel. Spins and skids twist, every moment surreal. Checker flag whispers, a siren's call. Only one metalhead lies above it all. Turbocharged fury on straights we fly. Nitrous veins pumping, we touch the sky. Back grandstands buzz, saying our name. Each lap we caught ignites the game flame. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Wah! Mellow bass screaming, rubber burns on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Beast make a friction, sparks light the night. Track of war sounds, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my six, but my grip don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Rivals on my six, but my grit don't waver. Drafting wind sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Tires grip tight, flames dance on steel. Spins and skids twist, every moment surreal. Checker flag whispers, a siren's call. Only one metalhead lies above it all. Turbocharged fury on straights we fly. Nitrous veins pumping, we touch the sky. Back grandstands buzz, saying our name. Each lap we caught ignites the game flame. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Wah!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rumble here this evening from the beautiful Lady in Black. It is Darlington Raceway here this evening for the QH Designs Metalheads Throwback Race, where these drivers, they got some old school paint schemes ready to rumble, ready to go to battle here this evening, hoping not to get these new paint schemes damaged or anything else. They're hoping to get a good run and hoping that they can keep these cars looking fresh and clean here and not earn any Darlington stripes this afternoon, but that is going to be easier said than done, as out in front, starting on the pole in the Ford number 28, it is Nathan Somerville. Somerville with the quick time here in qualifying. He will start in that pole position here this evening. Great qualifying effort for the 28 machine. To his outside in the 318 machine, the NOS Energy 3G ride, that is Matthew Catania, who will start in position number 2. Rusty Modesty will start in third with Clinton Woodby starting in position number 4. We'll wait for those drivers to jump into the sim to get a good look at their race trucks here this evening. There it is. There's Woodby's ride. That is the Sears Die Hard machine that'll start there in 4th. Starting back in the 5th position, the 51. That is the Ignite Your Fire C4 Energy machine of Mr. Tyler Stevenson. To his outside, the Napa Auto Parts, number 27 is Nick Gardner with the Miller Lite, number 196 of Caleb Kleinert starting there in 7th. Starting to his outside in that beautiful QH Designs Toyota number 97 machine, it is Colton Hardy who will start there in 8th with Kevin Winker, K-Dub starting back in 9th. Rounding out our top 10 will be the 133 of Ashley Ellison Jr. Starting back in the 11th position. Throwback paint scheme here to Kevin Harvick. That is the number 54 ride. The QH Designs Shell Pennzoil looking machine here. That is David Trailer who will start there in the 11th spot. To his outside, it is the Square D machine, the 01 of Rooster Rodden who will start in position number 12. Starting in position number 13, the 5 ride, that is the Razor machine of Mr. Matt Hayden. To his outside in the ASL number 3. That is I'm going to say it's an Eric Jones or a Richard Petty throwback paint scheme to the SDP machines, as the 3 ride of Keith Prince will start there in 14th. Starting back in 15th is John Herbert. To his outside in the 33 is Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. with Michael Newman starting there in 17th. To his outside, the beautiful looking 00 ride, the Johnny Fresh machine of Mr. Nate Cogdell starting there in 18th. Starting in 19th, the QH Designs 46 of Skylar Berry. To his outside, riding at our top 20, is the number 31 ride of Paul, the Old Man Durkee, starting there in 20th. And back in 21st is the 98 ride, the Big Cat machine of Mr. Benjamin McKinnon. Unfortunately, it looks like Justin Lawson will have to start down pit side, and so won't Jesse Calloway here this evening, as they will start on pit road, and we will get ready to rumble, as here we go, ending all the anticipation with our feature presentation, as Nathan Somerville, Matthew Catania, see that green flag flying, the 28 sends it in there a little bit too deep. Look out, he is going to slide backwards in a hurry. And now we're going to see more issues. Oh, look out. Drivers trying to hang on to it. They're still slipping and sliding around. There goes the caution flag. Matt Hayden turned around. There goes Paul Durkee. Woo, baby. She's a little slick out there. These drivers are slipping and sliding around, and right out of the get-go, things got crazy in a hurry for each and every one of these competitors. It started right at the front of the field with our pole sitter here, as that number 28 ride of Somerville sent it into corner number 1 right here. Sent it in there deep. I don't know if he just had the brake bias a little bit different, or maybe just, a little bit too much of the apron on entry. Nonetheless, the truck gets sideways now. Everyone's trying to figure out a way to get around this, trying to keep themselves out of it. You see the 6 ride of Modesty. He's getting super loose right here. So he's getting loose. He's trying to check up as he wants to avoid the 28 ride. And I think as he kind of gets woed up down and out of corner number 2, he's just trying to gain back everything that he lost. He gets sideways, unfortunately slides up. Clinton would be up into the corner 2 fence, and then this is where everyone else all of a sudden is trying to play dodge car out there on the racetrack. They're trying to keep themselves out of the trouble, out of the action here, and unfortunately for a lot of these guys, there's not a whole lot of room out there. There's a lot, but sometimes just not quite enough, and unfortunately for a few deeper in the pack here, they're gonna get wound up in it. You take a look at the 5 ride right here of Mr. Matt Hayden. Hayden is checking up a lot more than everybody else, and as he does, he loses that rear end as well. Shoots down the racetrack into that inside fence, and then you're going to see the 46 go around. The 31 of Durkee gets a piece of that 5 ride, and unfortunately our first caution flag of the day here in this one is Eric Hardy in the chat says, let's go! Number 97 says, let's go, those QH Design trucks in victory lane and on the podium, he says. KW in the chat says, oh, how did we not die? He says, Laffel, that was some good driving. Yeah, some great great driving right there. That could have been a whole lot worse. We could have seen this field get absolutely, decimated there in the first couple corners out there on the racetrack. Luckily enough, for the most part, everyone's able to keep on battling. Everyone's able to survive and get back in on the action. You do see the 87 machine of John Herbert. He's down pit road. Skylar Barry. Looks like Barry may have taken his truck off the racetrack and back down behind pit wall, so we may have lost one driver out of that entire exchange. I didn't think Skylar got too much damage out of this. Would have probably gotten a lot less than even Matt Hayden, but let's take a look here. Yeah, just kind of loses it, goes around sideways right here. It's a little bit of rear end damage from the 98 machine, but that's about it. And unfortunately for Barry, he's taking that truck back down and behind pit wall and potentially out of this race, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up. We'll get ready to try it again here. Already some Darlington stripes for these drivers. Already some issues, a lot of carnage, a lot of mayhem there in that first couple of corners. Let's see if we can make it around for couple green flag laps here. Let's see if we can get a couple good laps in. Kind of get this race under our belt a little bit here. Let the drivers get a little bit comfy. We start hitting their marks and kind of roll some good laps in here. Or will we see cautions continue to breed cautions out there on the racetrack? So here we go, getting ready to set them back loose. Is nice and easy. Back down through that restart zone. Here we go. The Lady in Black once again for another big restart here this evening for the 318 of Matthew Catania. Great launch, good start right there. And for that 318 ride, looking to try to keep these drivers back there at bay, as Mark Jackie Miller says, good luck, number 3. Cheering on Keith Prince out there on the speedway. Tower operator says hashtag Winker Nation. Amanda Joy coming in with that Winker Nation as well. Cheering on K-Dub here this evening. K-Dub already up a couple spots. The Muleburger 42 up and into position number 7 on the speedway. But it is Catania who's able to lead our first green flag lap of the evening. So our first green flag lap is into the history books here. And for these drivers, everyone is going to be just trying to hang on to these things, man. This is a tricky track, and we did see the 98 truck run into some issues here. Let's take a look at Benjamin McKinnon running back at about the 18th, 19th position and just kind of loses the rear end. Starts to go around there trying to save it, keep it off that inside fence. Luckily enough, no major damage or contact there. He's able to keep it rolling. No caution flag. Unfortunately, does lose a lot of time and falls quite a bit behind our top 20 out there on the speedway. For Catania, though, he's out in front. He's open to try to open up a bit of a lead now. We're starting to get some green flag laps under our belt. Drivers now got to start to worry about, maybe fuel mileage, maybe a little bit about their game plan and what their strategy is going to be. Tires will be a premium here throughout the race. Obviously, trying to keep your truck in one piece and not getting too much damage out there is going to be on the back of the mind of each and every one of these drivers throughout this race, and trying to minimize any mistakes and minimize any of those Darlington stripes out there on the speedway. And if there is a possibility of, green flag pit stops, especially later on this evening, you gotta make sure you do not speed down pit road. This is a long pit road. It is a tough pit road as you come down in through corner 3 and 4, way down on the apron to hit pit lane. And a lot of times we see drivers come in with too much speed right there and miss that commitment cone and earn themselves some black flags out there. Unfortunately, having to make another pass around the racetrack, but losing all that speed and momentum, just killing their pit cycle. So green flag pit stops could be at a premium here this evening on, whether or not you're going to win this race or go home upset about your mistake out there, just trying to get down at pit side here this evening. As for Catania, he's out in front, though. He's feeling A-okay for right now. These drivers, they do know that they're going to get a competition caution here at the completion of lap number 35 for our stage break here this evening. So after 35 laps of racing action, just inside 100 laps in this race to go, they're going to be able to come down pit road, throw a set of tires on, kind of, deal with any damage that they may have without using the quick repair in their back pocket, try to save that for later in the race if they need it, and then get ready for what could be, either, a lot of issues, a lot of back and forths out there on the racetrack and just trying to survive throughout the evening, or potentially what we've seen with these Metalheads Truck Series drivers in the past is after that stage break, it seems to really get green flag out there, and we start to see them click off a lot of laps and really not see too many caution flags until maybe late in the race. But the last little while, it's been a lot of clean and green racing action for these trucks, and that could be the story again here this evening from Darlington Raceway. Catania just out in front, clicking the laps off as quickly as possible, hoping to try to win another stage here on the season as Tyler Stevenson rolls there in second. Clinton would be back in third as we do see some more issues back here a little deeper in the field. Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. has taken his truck right off of the racing surface. Let's take a look here, because it's the 30 or the 98 right here of Benjamin McKinnon. Saw him slow on the apron, go to lap down, and then looks like right here. Oh, that's some tough contact there again at the back of the pack here. And we do see a caution flag fly forward, so the caution flag does come out. So at the 98, slow down on the apron. I think the 33 Ryan maybe sees that, maybe realizes that the 98 is there, maybe thought he's coming up. Let's take a look here at Jimmy. I don't think there's any contact between him and that 12 right of Michael Newman. I just think he's trying to get back on the throttle, trying to give enough room for the 98 to rejoin the racing line, and unfortunately he jumps up, gets into that corner 2 fence. The 12 right of Newman gets into him for McKinnon, just wrong place at the wrong time, as unfortunately for Jimmy, head on down into that inside fence. Benjamin McKinnon up into the Boeing back straightaway outside fence, and some pretty solid front end damage as well for that 12 machine of Michael Newman. And for a couple of these drivers, look back at Paul Durkee and Justin Lawson. They're hoping to try to keep themselves out of any of the carnage here, and as they exit corner number 2, they see 3 trucks kind of tied together, turned around, and not in a great spot out there on the racetrack. Luckily enough, they do avoid it and keep themselves rolling out there on the speedway. So another caution flag here in this first stage of the day has Jimmy down pit road for what could be an extended period of time. We do see Justin Lawson, John Herbert, Paul Durkee, they're all going to come down pit road. Wait and see if there's any takers. Doesn't look like Matt Hayden's going to come down pit side, or Nate Cogdell, so they're going to stay out. Benjamin McKinnon, he's hoping to try to earn a lap back, but being a part of that caution flag, I'm not sure if he'll get a lucky dog here, and does have some pretty solid front end damage here on this Big Cat machine, so he may have to try to get that thing repaired and back into a good piece out there on the speedway, because he was already struggling without that damage. Now with more damage, gonna make it that much more tougher for him out there on the speedway, and it does look like maybe they're gonna give him the wave nonetheless, so he is gonna get the wave around and potentially back on the lead lap here for the 98 truck. So great break for him there on that behalf, but man, he's still going to get that damage repaired. It's going to be tough for him to keep on battling here. That's some pretty significant front end contact into that outside fence. I'm not sure how that truck is going to make it here. It may end up blowing up. It may start to overheat here, because it's going to be definitely getting warmer in there. That cooling ducts, everything else, a lot of front end damage is going to make it very, very tough for this truck to survive for an extended period of time, as we'll keep an eye on that, as we'll get everyone else ready to rumble, ready to go back to green flag racing here in this one, as we'll take a look here at some of the throwback paint schemes here. I'm not sure if this square D ride is a throwback or not. It looks kind of throwback-ish, but not too sure. Some of these drivers may have to let us know post-race kind of what inspired their paint schemes here this evening, as you do see that 01 of Modesty, the 133 ride right there with Ashley Ellison Jr. with a beautiful Coca-Cola throwback ride here this afternoon. The 28 machine of Somerville, beautiful throwback paint scheme there for him, for Keith Prince. Obviously the STP-inspired paint scheme ride of Mr. Richard Petty out there on the racetrack. That thing's looking beautiful as always. We saw a few more out there towards the front of the field when you look at Caleb Kleinert and what would be a Rusty Wallace throwback paint scheme there with the Miller Lite number 196. You look at the 54 line, it's a Kevin Harvick throwback ride right there for the 54, and David Traylor Jr. Look at, the few drivers here at the front. The Sears Diehard 92 ride, that beautiful 51 ride of Tyler Stevenson, and our race leader, Matthew Catania, who sees that green flag fly. Throwback paint scheme here as well for the 318. So a lot of those throwback machines looking absolutely beautiful here this evening and looking absolutely stout out there on the racetrack. And they're once again back to battle and hoping to try to keep those paint schemes alive here today, hoping not to mess them up too badly, trying to keep themselves off that outside fence and not earning their Darlington stripes here this evening. As for Matthew Catania, he will lead another lap, as I do believe that is the first 17 laps of the race are going to be led here from Catania, so he looks to be a man on a mission here this evening. And if he can just continue to hit his marks, continue to keep Stevenson, his teammate, back there at bay, and try to keep Colton Hardy and David Traylor Jr., Clinton would be back there, and hope to see maybe his teammate, Caleb Kleiner, maybe try to get another one of those guys up there. Same with Nick Gardner, as some of these always amazing CCR Esports rides starting to kind of race their way up to their teammates at the front of the field, with Catania and Stevenson leading the way. CCR Esports sitting 1, 2, 6, 7, and back in position number 11 with Ashley Ellison Jr. here this evening. So they're having a pretty solid start to the afternoon. We'll see if they can try to cap it off and finish with a solid run here this evening. K-Dub, Kevin Winker is right there as well. K-Dub rolls there in that 8th position as Rooster Ronan and Somerville right there behind him. But Colton Hardy, David Traylor Jr., a couple of these QH Designs rides up here towards the front as well, looking strong here this evening. For Colton Hardy, he's up 5 positions since the start of this race. When you look back at David Traylor Jr., he's up 7 positions from where he started. So for a couple of these guys, man, they have been working their way through the field, and you gotta wonder if maybe they were a little bit more aggressive with their tires here over that first bit of a run, and maybe it'll come back to hurt them here in the final 15 laps of our first stage of the day. As again, completion of lap number 35, we will see our first stage break of the evening. And for these drivers, that's some extra bonus points into their back pocket, some points that could help them out on whether or not they're making the playoffs or missing the playoffs, or potentially trying to earn that extra bonus point for winning the stage to try to help them through each and every single round into our championship race here in quite a while. We still got a lot of race and a lot of action left here on the season. We're only about halfway through that regular season, I do believe. I think we're about halfway through the regular season. And we're a little farther than that now, chat. We may be a little bit farther. Where are we at here? Darlington, what do we got? 6, 7 races before the playoffs get started after tonight. So 7 more races, so a little bit over halfway here on the regular season, but we're kind of right there at it. So for these drivers, if you had a bad first half to the regular season, if you can kind of right the ship and kind of get your feet back going here and hope to try to turn things around, maybe a better second half can try to, point you back in a better direction here, and maybe try to make a charge for one of the final playoff spots when we head to Richmond back in, I do believe that is January, February, March, mid-March for the start of our playoffs here for the Metalheads Truck Series. But here tonight, the QH Designs Metalheads Truck Series Throwback race, man. It has already been a pretty exciting one, and it's just going to continue to build up that intensity, to build up that stress level for each and every one of these drivers, man, because as these tires start to fade away, this racetrack gets tougher and tougher, and the possibility of earning the Darlington stripes or putting yourself into a bad situation to quick hurry and taking yourself potentially out of this race is always looming in the background. Each and every single corner, you got to be on point. You cannot make a mistake, as we see the 92 rider Clinton Woodby gets a little bit loose there on corner exit, unfortunately battling with Colton Hardy for position number 4. Now he's at risk of losing a few more spots, as here comes Caleb Kleiner around him. Now here comes that 27 of Nick Gardner, potentially the 42 rider Kevin Winker may be able to jump up there and steal position number 7 away from the 92 trunk. And unfortunately right there, you saw that one mistake, that one slip up, and now again he's just kind of stuck in a bad position down the inside, and unfortunately Gonna lose another spot right there. So Clinton Woodby goes from battling for position number 4 to all of a sudden now back in position number 9 and just trying to keep himself here inside the top 10 this evening. And unfortunately, you did see that 98 truck of Benjamin McKinnon unfortunately go another lap down here on the speedway for the 98 truck. He's got that damage, and unfortunately definitely been struggling here. Even before getting that damage was quite a bit off the pace, and now with that damage going to just make things that much tougher here. As for Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr., he's back out there getting his truck repaired. Now he's a couple laps down, but for that number 33, if he can get a few caution flags, a couple lucky breaks, and maybe work his way right back into the battle here for a couple lucky dogs, and maybe try to get back to the lead lap here if we see a few yellow flags. But for right now, Matthew Catania doesn't want to see a single caution flag. He wants to see this continue to stay clean and green, at least for the next 8 laps here, because he's out in front and back down at a corner number 4 across the line. He'll complete lap number 28, so 7 laps left to go here in our first stage of the evening. And for this 318 machine, he's been the reflection of perfection here. He has looked strong right out of the get-go. Didn't quite win that pole position, but early on taking that race lead and hasn't given it up since he's taken it, and he is just not looking back here, trying to keep his teammate Tyler Stevenson back there at bay. But Stevenson starting to get a bit of a mirror there, that 54 right at David Traylor. Traylor's working his way right up into the battle here right now. The hard charger out there on the racetrack started all the way back, I do believe, in the 13th position. Actually, no, 11th position. 11th position here for David Traylor Jr. and now finds himself now in position number 3, but still quite a good run here early on, passing a lot of fast trucks, a lot of great rides, and working his way up and into 3rd here solidly for maybe some stage points and maybe even a little bit more with 5 laps left here in this stage. Can David Traylor work his way around not only Tyler Stevenson, but can he go after Matthew Catania for potentially the stage win? I think right now the 54 ride may have a bit better of a truck, especially over the 51. He just can't quite find a lane or an area to take a run and try to complete the pass or make a pass here on Tyler Stevenson, and it's allowed that 318 of Matthew Catania to open up a little bit of a race lead as you see that 54 all over the back bumper of Stevenson down the front straightaway. I think Stevenson is going to continue to try to hold him up here, knowing that if he can try to at least keep the 54 ride back there at bay, it's an extra bonus point for himself, but it's also, potentially going to save his teammate from having to, battle late in the stage for the stage win. It could block the 54 enough to allow Catania to win the first stage of the day, and that's exactly how it's playing out. As Catania back down across the line, we'll see 3 laps left here in this stage. So 3 more laps left to go here in stage number 1, and the gap has grown to almost 0.8 of a second between Catania and Stevenson. David Traylor Jr. still all over his back bumper as the 51 gets a little bit loose right there. May have gotten a shot into the back bumper from the 54 and David Traylor Jr. Stevenson moves over. David rolls right up into second and now looking to try to reel in that 318 ride. Unfortunately, though, he's got almost a second to try to make up here. He's got a lot of time to try to close that gap. Not a lot of time to close that gap with just about 2 laps left to go here in this stage. I think for David Traylor, he's going to run out of time. For Caleb Kleinert, he's able to join his CCR Esports teammates, though, up inside the top 5. As of right now, you see Nick Garner join him here as well. CCR Esports sitting first, second, fourth, and fifth. First, third, 4th, and 5th. The only driver inside our top 5 not a part of the CCR Esports stable is that 54 of David Traylor. But for Catania, he does see the white flag fly here. Now we're not at the completion of lap number 35. And that's an interesting one. So it is lap 35, but it should be the completion of lap 35. Nonetheless, caution flag will come out. That will be the end of our stage. And for Matthew Catania, he will win that stage. So Catania earning an extra bonus point to put into his back pocket here on the season. David Traylor will come home in second with Tyler Stevenson back in third. Caleb Kleiner, Nick Gardner are top 5 with Kevin Winker back in position number 6. Rooster Rodden there in 7th. Clinton Woodby, Nathan Somerville, and Rusty Modesty rounding out our top 10. Colton Hardy rolls in 11th with Keith Prince, Nate Cogdell, Ashley Ellison Jr., John Herbert our top 15. Paul Durkee's back in 16th with Justin Lawson. Michael Newman and Matt Hayden are top 19 drivers out there on the racetrack. Benjamin McKinnon is scored in position number 20 here. McKinnon, I do believe, is still the first driver, only 1 lap down. So for the 98 machine, should get the lucky dunk, should get the wave round back on the lead lap again here in this one. For Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr., unfortunately, still going to be trapped 2 laps down. We'll need a bit of a miracle, maybe a couple more caution flags to try to work his way back into the battle here this evening. For Skylar Berry and Jesse Calloway, both still down and off the racing surface. And now for McKinnon, McKinnon gets a black flag down pit side here as well. We'll have to wait and see if that gets cleared, potentially pitting off sequence. I'm not too sure what went on there with him, but nonetheless, he is going to get a black flag as we do see the 0-0. Nate Cogdell stays out right here. Okay, this is a bold strategy for Nate Cogdell. You got to wonder if maybe he just missed coming down pit road. Maybe he saw a red light on, didn't want to come down pit side, or what may have been going on here for Cogdell. He was down pit road on lap number 2, but fuel is going to be a hot commodity for the 0-0 ride if we get this race restarted. Even for Justin Lawson, who was down pit road on lap number 14, if we get a good 10, 15, 20 lap run, and these guys are going to be really, really needing to get fuel and having to make potentially unscheduled green flag pit stops, could definitely send them back here this evening. So we'll have to wait and see how this kind of cycles through and plays out. We don't see Cogdell or the 20 ride come back down pit road, so they may become our new race leaders here for the restart this afternoon, as we do see Tyler Stevenson going to make another trip down pit road, so he's going to give up some great track position to make a secondary pit stop. We do see Keith Prince also coming back down pit side, so isn't Colton Hardy as well. Actually, not sure what's going on here with Hardy's truck. I think Colton may have went a lap down here, down pit side. I think he was down there for an extended period of time, yeah. Unfortunately here for Colton Hardy, he was just down pit road for a very long time. I'm not sure if he was trying to get damage repaired or maybe had to use the bathroom break or something, because this is a tough break down pit side and losing a lap out there on the racetrack. There goes our field by him. Our pace truck is around him. He's just firing off, and unfortunately, I think he realized that, yeah, he is falling a lap down out there on the speedway. He's going to need some caution flags and hoping to try to work his way back into the battle, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to go back to green flag racing, as Nate Cogdell and Justin Lawson are race leaders here for this restart. After our first stage of the day, it is down to this. We have no more stages, but we may have a few caution flags up our sleeves, as they're already beating and banging. They're bouncing off each other. Fresher tires, faster trucks, trying to work their way to the point, and there's contact. Look out, Cogdell's on his lid. Upside down goes the 0-0 of Nate Cogdell, and the caution flag will come right back out. So cautions breeding cautions. We wondered how this would play out for the 0-0 ride. The 20 and Justin Lawson, and unfortunately it did not play out well for them. They were able to get a half-decent restart, but down through 1 and 2, just being on those older tires. The guys behind them, man, on fresh tires, they have really fast race trucks. They're held up here. They're trying to figure out a way to get around these guys and back out in front. And unfortunately, looks like the 318 and the 20 of Lawson, they're going to make a little bit of contact right about there. And you're going to see Lawson's truck get a little bit sideways, and then it's going to step out, wash up into that corner 2 fence. 318 Brian's going to get back into his rear end as he checks up. That shoves the 20 up and in to that 0-0 of Nate Cogdell. And for the Johnny Fresh QH Designs ride, he goes for a ride here this evening down the Boeing back straightaway, and unfortunately goes upside down. And here comes the 5 rider, Matt Hayden, right there as well. Big hit for Hayden into that 0-0 machine. Solid contact and damage for both drivers, and luckily enough, oh man, Clinton Woodby, or actually that's Colton Hardy, just able to avoid him right there as he almost ran right into him there as well. And man, the strategy calls here sometimes, man, are a bit sporadic or a bit chaotic, and right there you saw exactly sometimes what may happen when you get drivers on different pit strategies, different pit cycles, and everything else. It can get very, very interesting in a quick hurry, and unfortunately can tear up a lot of race trucks along the way. As Brett Winker in the chat says, hashtag Winker Nation says, let's go Winker, cheering on K-Dub here this evening. Nicole Winker in the chat as well says, let's go Winker, cheering on Kevin here this evening. As Shauna also in the chat with the hashtag Winker Nation is my boy Rodney Stewart. It says, what's up Peacemaker, how you been brother? You know, I have always been doing good. I'm always good, my boy, especially when I'm up here in the broadcast booth and getting to enjoy some amazing racing action. As Ronnie says, always exciting, man. You never want to miss these races, as there's always something crazy going on each and every single night of the week, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. I do believe it is David Traylor Jr. who will be our race leader there after that contact, after the chaos and drivers having to get checked up. It moved the 54 of Traylor into the top spot, so he's our race leader. The 196 of Caleb Kleiner now up and into second, with Catania back into third. The number 27 of Nick Gardner jumps into fourth, with Clinton Woodby back up inside our top 5 in that Sears Die Hard Racing number 92 truck. In the 01 of Rooster Ronan, Matt Hayden, the 12 of Michael Newman, John Herbert, and the 51 Tyler Stevenson going to round out our top 10 as we get ready to set them back loose. We get ready to go back to battle here in this one. Let's see if we can get her underway here again, man. Cautions breed cautions, and we may not be done yet. There may still be a few more up these drivers' sleeves, as they're not going to back down, and they're going to try to get everything they can here on these restarts, knowing that these restarts are going to be such a vital position out there on the racetrack to be able to gain track position, gain spots early on these restarts. May be the only real time you have an opportunity to gain those spots. And for a lot of these drivers, especially back here a little deeper, they are pushing it to the limits. And for the 51 truck of Tyler Stevenson, got to be careful right there. Getting a little bit loose, sliding around a little bit. Now jumps up in front of the 87 of John Herbert, as unfortunately for Stevenson, battling there with Hayden for 7th. Now falls back into 9th, as you do see John Herbert Modesty's right there as well. Ashley Ellison Jr. and Paul Durkee are top 13. Winker's back in 14th, and Cogdell, who we saw upside down not too long ago, still has a bit of damage on that 0-0 ride, but he rolls in that 15th position. For David Traylor Jr., though, David is out in front. The 54 has the race lead, and he is looking to try to keep the CCR Esports rides back there behind him at bay, as he's got 3 of them lined up and ready to go to battle here to his back bumper. In our early race leader, the 318 of Matthew Catania, finally works his way back around his teammate Caleb Kleiner into second. And for Catania, he's going to go back after David Traylor Jr. and look to try to put himself back to the point here this evening, as 45 laps completed, 45 laps down. Still a lot of racing action left to go here. Still a lot of opportunities for these drivers to run into problems, to run into issues out there. And we still got to worry about potentially green flag pit stops that could be right around the corner here, a lot sooner than a lot of these drivers are probably expecting. They're going to fire through these laps, especially if we get a little bit more single file. We start to get a little bit more spread out like we saw there a few times throughout that first stage. We could definitely see for a lot of these guys really kind of opening up a couple, big gaps here between themselves and their fellow competitors. And with that being said, we do see Michael Newman. Newman runs into some issues here. Luckily enough, he's down the apron, gets rolling again. No caution flag. A heartbreaker, though, for that 12. Right, let's take a look back and see what happens. He's in this battle just inside our top 10 and down low. Not sure if he just kind of hooks the apron right there or just loses the rear end. Nonetheless, the 12 truck goes around. Pretty solid contact there to that inside wall, and as he goes around, no yellow flag. We keep it clean and green. He gets rolling again, but falls all the way back into that 19th position. So losing probably about 10 spots out there on the racetrack, and falling from a top 10 battle to just trying to keep himself inside the top 20 out there on the racetrack. As the 54 of David Traylor Jr. continues to lead the way here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in and you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a quick favor right now. Hit that like button on the stream for us and hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today, and never miss it when we go green flag racing here on the channel. As David Traylor Jr. out in front has about 0.6 of a second between himself and that one rail NOS Energy 3G ride of Matthew Catania. Catania rolls in second with his CCR Esports teammate Caleb Kleinert right there behind him. That beautiful Miller Light 196 rolls in third, as we do see Rusty Modesty work his way up into fourth. Clayton Woodby's trying to jump back inside the top 5, as unfortunately for Nick Gardner, he slides back into that 6th position out on the racetrack. That is a tough break there for Gardner. He was just up inside our top 4, loses a couple spots, and now he'll try to have to rejoin his teammates with Catania and Kleinert up there in 2nd and 3rd. He now sits back here in 6th. His teammate Tyler Stevenson now behind him here in 7th. As Rusty Modesty, Matt Hayden, and John Herbert now round out our top 10. Ashley Ellison Jr., the only CCR Esports ride outside the top 10 here this evening, as the 133 rolls back there in 11th. Paul the Old Man Durkee the Turkey, he's rolling right there in position. Number 12 on the racetrack here in the popsells.com. Number 31, right, the popsells.com machine rolls there in that 12th position. Kevin Winker's back behind him in the 42 truck, as Colton Hardy and Nathan Somerville, our pole sitter, round out our top 15. Keith Prince back in 16th with Nate Cogdill, Justin Lawson, and then Michael Newman back in 19th. For Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr., he scored there in 20th. Still, unfortunately, 2 laps down. Benjamin McKinnon now a few laps down here himself, as the 98 ride rolls there in the 21st spot. Skylar Berry off the racetrack since lap number 1. And Jesse Calloway, unfortunately, has not joined this race. But for each and every one of these drivers, they know the laps are clicking down in a quick hurry, and they're inching closer and closer to the checkered flag here this evening, as 53 laps completed. I do believe that is what, 75 laps left to go here this evening, so still 75 laps of racing action left for these drivers. Still a lot of time to have to worry about potentially a couple green flag pit stops here. I'm gonna say these guys are probably gonna be able to make it about 40 laps to a tank of fuel. That's going to make things really interesting, obviously, with that caution flag. Just as we were trying to go back to green flag racing there, as the stage came to an end for a lot of these drivers, that's going to make fuel really tight, probably trying to hit their marker somewhere around lap number 84, 85, if they can stretch it that far, maybe even go a little bit farther, somewhere in towards lap number 90, making sure that they are good on fuel to get to the end of this race, and trying not to make that 2 green flag pit stops. If they can split this final stage with only 1 green flag stop, then I think a lot of these guys are going to take that possibility. But we may see a few drivers drivers try to hit that gamble of making this a 2-stop, maybe even 3 stops here in this final run of the day. So we'll have to see who's going to make the gambles, who's going to be coming down pit road. They've only ran about 20 laps of green flag racing kind of since they were last down pit road. So we'll have to see, who's going to be the gambler, who's going to be the more conservative driver, and how this will play out here after 128 laps of racing action here in this one, man. Going to be a ton of fun. And let's see if we can jump on board here with, let's go with Tyler Stevenson. He's a man on the move here. Let's jump on board with him for a lap. Alrighty, great lap right there for that 51 Ryan Stevenson. He's been on the move here. We saw him unfortunately have to make an additional pit stop there during that stage break. Now, he did gain a couple of spots after that caution flag, but really for the 51, he's been having to work his way back up throughout the top 15, throughout that top 10, and has finally worked his way back up into about that 6th position, which may feel good if you're that 51 Ryan, knowing that you can work yourself through some of the traffic, kind of have a good race trunk, but is it, potentially burning up your equipment a little bit too early in this run to kind of try to gain that track position back out there on the speedway? And for that 51 ride, we saw him up inside the top 5 throughout that entirety of the first stage, but now, kind of sitting back here, probably does not feel very good. The trunk could be handling completely different, and potentially just putting himself into more wear and tear here throughout this run, and he could pay the price later on throughout this run if this truck starts to fall off. Even just the slightest could fall right back outside the top 10 in a quick hurry with Modesty right there with him. We did see that 0-1 ride of Rooster Rod, and he's actually kind of started to slide back here himself. Matt Hayden rolls there in 9th with John Herbert, Ashley Elson Jr., and that 31 of Paul Durkee, our top 12, all still within very much of a striking distance here, of our top 5, top 6 out there on the speedway. As for David Traylor Jr., though, David out in front. He's got about a second lead now. He's starting to run into a little bit of lap traffic here, as that is the 12 truck of Michael Newman. And here we go. We do see Justin Lawson. Lawson comes down pit road here on lap number 60. All right. So a little bit of different strategy here out of this 20 ride. Comes down pit road here on lap number 60 here this evening. Unfortunately, that will put him at least 2 laps down out there on the racetrack. He's got to hope we stay clean and green. He's got to hope that things cycle back around, potentially cycle back into his favor here. As of right now, a yellow flag would trap him 2 laps down and not in a free pass spot out there on the speedway. And that is not a very fun spot to be out there on the racetrack, because right now the 12 truck of Newman sits in that free pass spot. But for David Traylor Jr., he makes quick work there of that 12 ride, and now all of a sudden he's really starting to pull away a little bit here from Matthew Catania and Caleb Kleiner. The gap has grown to about 1.6 seconds. So for David Traylor, he's starting to pull away here a little bit, starting to feel it out there on the racetrack. And now that we're kind of right around that halfway marker, this 54 truck, he's feeling A-okay, man. He's feeling really good out there on the speedway after completing, that halfway point. Lap 64 into the history books. We're now into the latter half of our feature event. Seems like David Traylor Jr. may have kind of figured things out and now starting to just try to pull away more and more lap after lap. He made quick work there of that 98 ride of Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. Not Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr., Benjamin McKinnon. And McKinnon's actually going to go around again here. So he's running more on the apron obviously trying to stay kind of a little bit out of the way of our race leaders, which is a nice thing to do, but you see how the truck kind of converges back onto the racing surface, and he's kind of half on, half off. A lot of times these trucks get very unbalanced, and a lot of times that's exactly what happens. They kind of just lose that rear grip and go around it. Unfortunately for the 98, finds out the hard way, gets parked down onto the infield fence right there, and unfortunately he's got to tow it down pit road. That may be all she wrote for that 98 here this evening, as we did see at that same time Rooster Rodden had taken his truck down pit side. We also saw Nate Congdale come down pit road and make his pit stop here as well. So a few more of these drivers starting to be a little bit more gamblish here on their pit stops coming down pit road. You know, back on lap 60, lap 62 for Congdale, lap 65 for Rooster Rodden. Even though that's going to put them a couple laps down, they're playing this strategy here this evening, trying to set themselves up late in this race and pitting right there. Gonna at that halfway marker, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out for him here this evening. For David Traylor Jr., though, he's out in front, still sporting that 1.6 second lead here, still feeling pretty A-okay with his performance here this evening after gaining 10 positions out there on the racetrack. He started back in 11th, now out in front. He's passed pretty much everybody inside of our top 10 without an issue, and now he's got the race lead. He's got that beautiful QH design truck just kind of rolling here at Darlington Raceway. This is one of his favorite racetracks. I'm sure he'd love to try to pick up another big win here on the season for the 54 team, and I know there's a lot of other drivers that are hoping to try to keep him out of pit lane. We do know that Catania, he was able to pick up the win last week at Knoxville Raceway for the CCR Esports Knoxville Dirt Derby, and for David Traylor, prior to that dirt race, David had won 2 races in a row, so you kind of throw in that bit of a wild card dirt race there last week. You know, David Traylor on the asphalt has kind of been on a roll with 2 wins there prior to that race, so he's been kind of a man on a mission and looking for another one here this evening. But here he comes down pit road. All right, so David Traylor comes down pit side here on lap number 70. This is interesting. This is definitely going to be interesting, as you do see the 92 of Clinton Woodby also down pit side. Here comes Colton Hardy also down pit road. For Catania, Caleb Kleiner, a lot of these other drivers, looks like they're going to come down pit side maybe this time at least. Here comes Catania. He doesn't want to wait too much longer. He doesn't want to put himself into a spot where he loses any kind of an edge or an advantage between himself and David Traylor Jr. Is David actually... okay, he's able to finally get back rolling here. We'll see if he keeps himself in front of Clinton Woodby. Woodby finally gets his service done, but for Catania, Modesty, they come down pit road. So does Paul Durkee here on lap number 71 here this evening. So more and more takers here. Drivers starting to really wonder and really start to think here on what the fuel mileage game plan is. I feel like they're still good on fuel for a little while. I'm actually quite surprised we haven't seen more drivers, especially front runners, kind of gamble here on running longer, kind of staying out a little bit more here, seeing if they can try to make it somewhere towards lap number 80, maybe even towards lap number 85, 90 or so, in trying to make this on a one-stop race. Even though your tires have fallen off, you're running quite a bit slower than your best lap times by about a second to a second and a half. It may still be enough that if you just kind of keep up pace here, keep on rolling, and you may give up some on the short term, but long term, it may put you at the front of the field here in a position to win this race later on this afternoon. We'll see how this kind of rolls out and plays out for Caleb Kleiner, Nick Gardner, and anyone else who decides to kind of keep on battling here this evening. As of right now, only 9 drivers left to kind of make this lead lap green flag pit stop. We did see Michael Newman, he was one lap down and in the free pass position, but now he has lost that free pass spot as David Traylor has worked his way back around him here. And now still for David Traylor Jr., he finds himself a lap down back there. An untimely caution flag would really set him and the rest of these guys back. But for the 54, you can see that speed of the fresh tires and how much track position they're gaining here on a lot of these guys with those older tires. And now here comes Caleb Kleiner. Kleiner is going to give up that race lead. He heads down pit road. Nick Gardner, a CCR Esports teammate, will reconsume that race lead. So Nick Gardner now out in front. Stevenson rolls there in second. Matt Hayden's back in third. But take a look at the 92 truck. So for the 92 ride, Clayton Woodby, he has made that additional pit stop. So has in the 318 machine. You can see how much time they make up there. Just down the back straightaway, able to pull out in around the 5 truck and build, 5-6 truck lengths just down the back straightaway and through corner, 3 and 4 back down the front stretch, man. They're kind of just separated themselves from them. They have pulled insurmountably farther away from that 5 ride, and that just gives you a pure example on how good fresh tires are here out there on the racetrack. And now we do see Stevenson. He's down pit road. Here comes Nick Gardner. He'll head down pit side this time. What has Matt Hayden got up his bag of tricks here? As he's going to stay out for at least another lap. So Matt Hayden going to stay out a little bit longer. Going to keep on rolling out there on the speedway. So is in Kevin Winker. We know K-Dub is always one to kind of roll the dice here and try to play some big strategy out there on the racetrack. So we'll see what Winker kind of has up his sleeve. Does he come down pit road this time? Does he keep on rolling out there? This is going to be a tough call, man. This is going to definitely be interesting. As here we go, we do see Matt Hayden. Hayden finally pulls the trigger. He heads down pit road here on lap number 78 for Winker. He's going to stay out, and he is going to consume that race lead. So for Kevin Winker, he now leads the way. K-Dub out in front in the top spot. Muehlberger Custom Homes Machine, you can see right here, fresh tires down to his inside, able to catch up to him, pull right on around him, and then start to pull away. And that just shows you the strength that these trucks have with those fresh tires compared to, even having, 30, 40 laps on a set of tires out there on the racetrack. And for Winker, I mean, he's still stretching it here. Lap 79 off the board, so we're rolling lap number 80 right now. For Winker, this would be a 40-lap run. Man, it's just going to be interesting because if you're going to try this game plan, if you're going to try to stretch it here, I think you need to roll at least another 4 to 6 laps to really give yourself the possibility of running this without having to make an additional pit stop out there on the racetrack. And as of right now, for Kevin Winker, I think that's exactly what his game plan is. Potentially for Somerville as well as Keith Prince, kind of maybe on that same game plan. Ashley Elson Jr. finally jumps down pit road and has to pit here for that 133 ride. There goes David Traylor back around him here. Now for David, he's been able to roll here for the last, 10 laps. And just continue to keep on gaining. He's put himself back on the lead lap, and now he's kind of rolling into these guys, starting to catch up to Keith Prince, Somerville, and our race leader, Kevin Winker. Winker is slow as there's a caution flag. Oh, brother, this could really mix things up here this evening. Caution flag is going to come out, and that is going to completely flip things on top of its head here. Some drivers are going to be trapped a lap, 2 laps down. Other drivers are going to be, back on lead lap, but now we're going to, not have really any track position and much older tires than Kevin Winker, Somerville, and Keith Prince. So that really opens up the door here for those 3 to take advantage of this feature event. And let's take a look back and see what happens. I do believe it is going to be Matthew Catania and the 87 ride of John Herbert who are going to run into problems here. Now, let's take a look because Herbert is out in front of them. Some pretty solid contact here. So it looks like for the 87, he's down on the apron. I'm not sure why he's on the apron. Okay, so he was down pit road. Didn't have him leaving pit lane, but okay, there it is. So he leaves pit side. He's trying to roll back up the speed. Here comes the 318 ride. The 87 tries to rejoin the field, and I think as he rejoins right here, it's the exact same time that Catania's trying to make the pass on the 31 of Paul Durkee. Durkee's kind of just sitting there and really just minding his own P's and Q's, but for the 318, he's trying to hunt down, you know, some of the drivers in front of him that leapfrogged him here for the race lead, and here he goes right around, makes that move around the 31. I don't think he realized that the 87 and just gonna jump back out here. I don't know how he didn't see him. Let's see if we can jump on board. You see him right there in the far left-hand side. 87 comes back onto the racing surface, and Kanye just kind of runs him over right there. Gets that run on the 31. Jumps to the outside of him. Unfortunately, can't jump far enough down low to get to the inside of John Herbert, and just kind of clips the left rear quarter panel back bumper of the 87 ride, and for both drivers, hard contact down here into the inside fence. Pretty significant damage for both cats down into that inside wall, and as they slide back up onto the racetrack, you see Herbert makes more contact with the fence. Everyone else trying to avoid him and that number 87 ride. Luckily enough, they don't collect anyone else, but that caution flag really mix things up here, man. That's going to make things very, very interesting as Clinton Woodby will jump into the race lead. Rooster Rana will be in second. Caleb Kleinert, Rusty Modesty, the 51 right of Tyler Stevenson will now be our top five. David Traylor Jr. had come back down pit road here. I'm not sure if he just took fuel or if he may have taken tires again, but nonetheless, that 54 went down pit side, now back in 6. Kevin Winker, who was our race leader at the time of the caution flag, he may have some of the freshest tires out there on the racetrack here with good position, sitting there in 7th. Same with Keith Prince there in 8th. 0-0 of Catania. You do see the 12 ride. I'm not sure what 12 ride's thinking there. I think he was hoping to try to maybe get a lap back. Unfortunately, does not look like he's going to get it. And for drivers like Ash Elson Jr., still trapped the lap down right now. Paul Darkey, Lawson, Somerville, Nick Gardner, Matthew Catania here back deeper in the field. They were able to get wave arounds back onto the lead lap. So great break there for them. Unfortunately, though, for Ashley Elson Jr., Matt Hayden. Oh, look out. Was that Kevin Winker falling backwards? Uh-oh. K-Dub. What is going on here? K-Dub's got fresh tires. Did he get loose? What happened here on this restart? That Winker. Oh, yeah, right there. You see him kind of get a little bit loose. He's down kind of half on that apron, half on the racing surface. Front end starts to pull around on him. Luckily enough, he's able to catch it, but killing all that speed and momentum. Loses a ton of track position. Now, lucky break is that we still got some pretty good fresh tires, still sitting inside the top 10. And obviously, maybe now I'm going to play some more of that strategy game plan, as I feel that was way earlier than he wanted to come down pit road. I feel Winker wanted to kind of roll another, you know, at least 3, 4, maybe 10 more laps before coming down pit side. And that caution flag kind of forced his hand to help him out a little bit, but kind of hurt him as well, as I don't think that 42 wants to make another trip down pit road. I think he wants to just kind of continue to keep on coasting here, hoping to see everyone else having to make an unscheduled pit stop and see him try to be able to beat these guys out there on the racetrack with not having to make a late race pit stop here this evening. For Clinton Woodby, though, our race leader, he was down pit road last on lap number 70, man. He's going to definitely have to make another pit stop here this evening. So won't Caleb Kleinert and Modesty, Tyler Stevenson, Rooster Rod, and they're all going to have to come back down pit road. With a lot of drivers that are outside our top 10 when you look at Justin Lawson, Somerville, Ashley Elson Jr., some of these guys that are a lap down, like Ellison, like Matt Hayden, Colton Hardy, Michael Newman's 2 laps down back there, man. This is a tough spot to beat for some of these guys. Nate Cogdell, John Herbert. Paul Durkee's now down pit side here. Oh, no. What happened to Durkee? It's like Durkee had towed his car right down pit road here, so not too sure what may have happened. Looks like he kind of gets At corner number 2 right here. This is Colton Hardy right there with them. Hardy tries to get around him. I'm not sure if there was contact there or not. Nonetheless, the 31 gets up into the outside fence. Pretty solid front end contact there. Let's get another look at it. See another angle. Something that may be able to show us if there was contact between these two. Super tight, but there is right there. There's the contact between Colton and the 31. Shoots Durkee up into that outside fence, and pretty solid contact, and he had to take that thing down pit road. As we do see another caution flag fly, though. Looked like Matt Hayden and Ashley Ellison Jr. get tied together. These two are battling for the lucky dog position. They're tied together right here, and then down and off corner number 4. They just kind of run out of room. They make contact, and they both end up going around right here. Let's see another look at these two drivers. As right here, this will be a telling tale. So the 131 a little sideways right there, and it looks like he starts to come down the racetrack. Unfortunately, as he does, Matt Hayden's just trying to stay in that bottom lane. 131 kind of comes down there a little bit. They end up making contact. Both drivers spin around right here, and it looked like Hayden may have gotten the worst end of that deal, as he's going to slide right down into the infield safer barrier. Pretty solid contact there for him. I'm not sure if Ellison ever made contact or not with that fence. Wrong driver. Let's go to this one right here. Okay, let's see if Ellison just gets a little loose there on corner exit, and see if he makes contact or not. He's got it locked down. A little kiss right there, but not as much damage as what Matt Hayden had gotten. So tough break there for Hayden. Not too bad luck for Ashley Ellison, and he'll be able to continue to keep on battling here this evening. But now this is going to bring a few more drivers down pit road. We do see Stevenson, Rooster Rodden, David Trailer, Nathan Somerville, Lawson. These guys all come down pit road. Now this is a big area. I'm quite surprised we did not see Kevin Winker or Nick Gardner. A lot of these other drivers actually worked their way back down pit road here. Kind of figure we'd see maybe a couple of these guys come down pit side, knowing that this could be their break, and knowing that they're good on fuel, that they don't have to, come back down pit road here in this race. And let's take a look, see if any of these guys actually may have looking tires or anything here. Yeah, we're going to see tires going on to the 54 truck. Yeah, David Trailer Jr., see the 0-1. Rooster Rodden gets tires here. Looked like Stevenson took in tires as well. Actually, doesn't look like Stevenson does, but he does take fuel. Yeah, I don't see that truck getting jacked up. So for the 51, doesn't take tires, but does take fuel. But now this is going to put Rooster Rodden and David Trailer into a very interesting position. If this race stays clean and green, they may look like geniuses here, as they should be good on fuel. They should be able to make it to the end of the race without having to make another trip back down pit road. And now they have, some of the freshest tires out there on the racetrack. But if there is another caution flag, even in the next 10, 15, 20 laps, they could be sitting ducks here later on this evening and kind of just know where to go, and unfortunately having nothing left in the tank for some of these guys later in this race. So we'll see, if it plays off for them, if we stay clean and green, or if another yellow flag potentially hurts their chances at picking up the dub here this evening. But for 92, Clinton Woodby's feeling A-okay. He's out in front. He's got the race lead, and he's looking to hang on to it. Caleb Kleiner there to his inside. He's starting there in second, and we do see Rusty Modesty, Matthew Catania. The 3 rider, Keith Prince, Nick Gardner, Tyler Stevenson, Kevin Winker. The 0-1, Rooster Rodden, and David Trailer rounding out our top 10 as here we go back to green flag racing at Darlington Raceway as the 92 of Clinton Woodby. Great launch, great restart, clears the 196 of Caleb Kleinert, hoping to keep his foot in the throttle nice and easy, down and out at corner number 2, but there's contact back behind him. Look out, Modesty in the 318 of Matthew Catania got tied together right there. Pretty solid contact between both drivers, and they may not be done trading paint out there on the racetrack. Catania still looking to try to work his way around Modesty. Modesty does not want to give it up here, and he's now starting to get surrounded by CCR Esports drivers. He's got one in front of him. He's got two behind him, and two teammates get tied together. Stevenson, little sideways there on his own. He's got to hang on to it. Oh, baby, here comes the 12. Here comes the 20 of Lawson. They're all tight together. Woo, doggy, this is going to get fun real quick here, man. A lot of different tires, a lot of different strategies for some of these drivers, and it's going to get fun here this evening. And we do see, I believe, another caution flag come out. So the yellow flag does get displayed as potentially, let's take a look here at Nate Cogdell, Colton Hardy, and maybe that 133 of Ashley Ellison Jr. right here. So let's take a look at Ashley. 133. Gets a good run down the back straightaway. I believe right here, just going to get in there a little deeper than Colton Hardy. Doesn't get checked up in time. Looks like Hardy kind of backed the corner off a little bit. Ashley Ellison Jr. is just going to get in there a little too far right here. So down the Boeing back straightaway into corner number 3. You see the 97 kind of back the corner up to try to get down to the inside. 133 does not see that in time. He runs in the back end of the 97, and then we see the 130, or the 0-0 of Cogdell run into the back end of Ashley, and then all of a sudden, oh, who was that? That was the 87 truck of John Herbert. Sends it in there a little too far himself here, as they all start to stack up. None of them check up, and you see even more contact there for Cogdell. Heavy damage for John Herbert. Pretty solid damage for Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. as well. And another caution flag. Another restart on the horizon for these drivers. So, all right. Stack them up. We'll have to rack them up. We'll have to try it all over again. Here in this one. Another restart as we inch closer and closer to, what, 30 laps left to go here in this feature event. I do believe it is 32 right now. Laps left to go here. And the lady in black, Darlington Raceway with the Metal Heads Truck Series and the QH Designs Throwback Race here this evening. A lot of beautiful throwback paint schemes at the front and throughout the field here this evening. And for a lot of these drivers, their throwbacks have, looked a lot like a throwback race. There's some craziness, some great action here, and obviously a tricky speedway like Darlington produces those kind of fireworks out there on the racetrack like we've seen here tonight. We may not be done yet. There still may be a lot more fireworks to come as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back after it here. Lights are off, the official iRacing paint truck, so we'll go back to door for another big restart. Clinton would be the control car, our race leader there in that Sears Die-Hard 92. We'll get the launch, we'll get the restart here, and he'll get to decipher on when he wants to fire in that restart zone, whether it's early, late, in the middle, or just trying to play some different strategy and keep the rest of these drivers a little flat-footed for the restarts. Hoping that, maybe another caution flag a little later in this race. I still feel, even with all these yellows, would be Kleinert, probably Modesty, and a lot of these other cats are going to have to make an additional pit stop here this evening. They were last down pit road on laps 70, 75, and 71. Catania, he was down pit road on lap 82. He may be good to get to the end of this race, but we'll have to wait and see if the tires are good, because here we go. Back to battle, the 92 firing a little bit towards the start of that restart zone, but a great good jump and nicely leads us back down into corner number 1 and just barely clears that 96 of Caleb Kleiner to get into that middle lane. And you see the 6 right of Modesty trying to roll to his outside. Modesty has to get checked up right there. Does not want to run into that corner 2 fence, and luckily enough keeps himself out of it, but it does allow Matthew Catania to roll right up in front of him here, solidly into position number 3 out there on the speedway, and they'll continue to battle all around the racetrack. Door-to-door action here is 99 laps completed, 20 29 more laps left to go here in this one as we'll jump into it quick. Peacemaker Gaming, crank it up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers here this evening as we crank it up on Peacemaker Gaming. All right, never mind. The Peacemaker Gaming caution flag curse will continue. So the caution flag does fly once again as it looks like, let me see here, looks like we're going to see a driver right behind Nick Gardner here, the 28 right of Nathan Somerville. Oh, runs into some problems right there. So you're going to watch Somerville in the 28 ride. He's going to get in here a little bit too deep, but it's after... Really looks like, is that Lawson? Yeah, that's Lawson. So Lawson gets underneath the 27 of Nick Gardner. I think he's trying to make this move around the 27 machine for the 10th position. Gets a little bit tight, washes up the racetrack, has to roll out of the throttle. The 28 ride, Somerville never realizes that, runs in and runs over the 20 machine of Lawson. Lawson gets sideways on the racetrack. Everyone's now trying to dodge him here, and unfortunately, one guy who hasn't really been able to dodge anything lately has been that 133 rider, Ashley Ellison Jr. Fortunately, wrong place, wrong time once again. Heavy contact there for Ashley as he gets up into the outside fence. Heavy right and left front damage again for the 133. That may take him down pit road for an extended period of time, but we still saw a few more drivers kind of get piled into this one because for the 28 ride, it was not over here. He did not get out of it, and unfortunately after that contact and then having to check up, loses the rear end, slides down into the infield, and ends up making some pretty... Actually, I don't know if he ends up making contact or not with the inside fence, and looks like, yeah, maybe just a little bit of a kiss. He just gets in there enough. Has a little damage, maybe not. Oh, yeah, gives it a little kiss right there. I don't think it's enough to really cause any catastrophic front-end damage for the 28 ride, so may have been a little bit lucky right there in that one, but for a lot of these drivers, some more chaos, some more carnage, and that's going to bring another wave of pit stops here as we do see a bunch of drivers come down on lap 102. Clinton Woodby, Rusty Modesty, Matthew Catania, Kevin Winker, Nick Gardner, Justin Lawson, Ashley Ellison Jr. all come down pit road here. Same with the 12 of Michael Newman. Now for a few of these drivers, they still find themselves a lap down. For Lawson, he's the first driver... last driver on the lead lap. Ashley Ellison Jr. is currently scored as the first driver 1 lap down, but that may not be for long as Nate Cogdell may move into that position. Same with Michael Newman into the 1 lap down category here as well. So they're going to be fighting for the lucky dog position. For other drivers, they're just going to be fighting to try to keep themselves alive here this evening, as Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. still giving it all here this evening. John Herbert, he's down pit road here for an extended period of time. Matt Hayden, Paul Durkee, Benjamin McKinnon, Skylar Berry, and Jesse Calloway have all taken their trucks back down behind pit wall. So we start with 23. And right now we got about 17 still rolling, still active out there on the racetrack. So good old Darlington, the lady in black, has claimed at least 6 drivers here this evening, and we'll see if she's going to take any more here tonight as we'll get them all ready to rumble, ready to go back to Green Flag Racing as we'll jump back into our Peacemaker Gaming, crank it up as the laps continue to click down. We only got 25 more laps left to go, 24. So we go back to Green Flag battling here in this one. So crank it up, ladies and gentlemen, as here we go back to battle. Alrighty, as the laps continue to click down and we draw closer and closer to our checkered flag here this evening, a beautiful crank it up session here from Darlington Raceway. As the QH Designs Throwback race coming to a close here in this one, as the race leader, the number 54, David Traylor Jr., will take us down the Boeing back straightaway, nice and easy, down and through corner number 3 and out at corner number 4, back down across the line for David Traylor Jr. He will complete lap number 116, and we get 12 more laps left to go here this evening. So 12 more laps left to duke it out here in this one, and we're going to see a late race caution flag. Oh, baby, this is going to mix things up. Now, I'm not sure where this yellow flag is transpired from. We did see Rooster Rodden up there a little closer to the front of the field. As the 0-0, yeah, right here. Here we go. So Ron was starting to kind of fall back. So wasn't Caleb Kleinert and Tyler Stevenson. The 0-1 was starting to fall backwards there, and we saw Nick Gardner and Kevin Winker starting to reel these guys in, and then obviously down the straightaway, this looks like they're going to run out of room here. I'm not sure how they run out of room on the straight, but let's take a look at it and see. So Ronin's on the outside. 27's there. Just looks like 27 kind of comes up. So Nick Gardner comes up into the left rear quarter panel of that 0-1 as he's trying to side draft down the straightaway. They make contact and around goes that 0-1 a Rooster Run, and that's what brings the caution flag out. Parked there on the side, sideways in the middle of the racetrack. iRacing is going to throw that caution flag. Now, that's definitely something David Traylor did not want to see, but that is going to allow, now some of, Nick's teammates to come down pit road. So a little bit of a lucky break there for them because they were really on the struggle bus. And now for Tyler Stevenson and Caleb Kleiner, the CCR Esports rides, they're going to be able to make some pit stops here this evening. And if they got an extra set of tires back there behind pit wall where Caleb Kleiner probably does. Kleiner was actually probably really close to having to make a green flag pit stop there and get fuel. He was getting really tight on fuel. He was last down pit road around lap number 76. 75, and he was definitely going to be, running on fumes there late in this race. And you do see tires going on to that number 51 truck. I believe you are going to see tires going on to the number 96 ride as 196 as well. Take a look back here at, I believe that's Colton Hardy and Keith Prince as well. Let's see if these guys, you're going to see tires going on to these guys as well. So bunch of these drivers getting some good fresh tires here, being able to kind of set themselves up nicely late in this race. I'm not sure if the 3 ride, looks like Keith Prince gets tires as well. So, all right, that's going to make things very, very fun as they're going to restart back in about the 8th position. So, pretty decent gap here in the tire wear game, and that's gonna really give them a huge benefit late in this race. They just gotta hope that they can navigate their way through traffic and work their way through some of the older tires here quickly enough and not really running over anybody to put themselves in a bad position or in a position where they end up with problems or tons of damage here late in this race. We'll have to wait and see. As, starting back there in 8th for Tyler Stevenson. Keith Prince will start there in 9th. Colton Hardy back in 10th. Caleb Kleiner will restart in 11th. Ashley Ellison Jr., I do believe, back on the lead lap there in 12th. And for Justin Lawson, scored back in 13th. But for David Traylor Jr., who had that race lead, he did not want to see that caution flag. Now we got to wait and see if maybe, Clinton Woodby, Kevin Winker, Matthew Catania, Nick Gardner, any of these drivers may have something up their sleeve here late in this race to maybe try to steal this win away from David here this evening as we'll get ready for what could be our final restart of the day, as it should be completing lap number 120 and be 8 laps left to go here, biting some NASCAR overtime out there on the speedway. But for the number 54, David Traylor Jr., he will see this green flag be displayed once again down through that restart zone. He gets a good launch, a good restart here. able to clear the 92 of Clinton Woodby. Gets a good run down into corner number 1 as the 92 of Woodby will slide up in front of Kevin Winker. Winker kind of gets pushed up a little bit right there. Has to roll out of the throttle, and here we go. Hang on to it. There goes Keith Prince. Prince is around, and there's the caution flag. So the caution flag will come back out, and that's what we talked about. Some of those drivers that took that fresh tires, they were back there deeper in the field. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. They know that they got to make moves, and I feel like we're going to watch the 51 ride of Tyler Stevenson right here. That's a good restart, a little tire spin here in front of them with the older tires, and for the 0-1, obviously getting onto the throttle. And that tire spin, that's a normal thing with the older tires, a little bit more worn out, not as much grip. He's trying to hang on to it. Stevenson, the 28, both jumped down low. Now they're 3 wide into corner number 1, and unfortunately it just doesn't work out all the time, but they do clear the 0-1 right, and then Somerville and the 51 make contact, and I think for Keith Prince, Prince saw it coming. He knew that there was going to be contact here. He saw it brewing. I don't think Caleb Kleiner really saw it, and unfortunately Kleiner is going to get into the back end of that 3 right as Keith Prince starts to check up, seeing the 28 and 51 make contact and get sideways in front of him. He's just got that little extra premonition here. Kind of roll out of it. Maybe it's a little sideways there himself. Yeah, you do see that rear end kind of kick out there. Now, I'm not sure if that's just him trying to keep himself out of the carnage in front of him, but nonetheless, it's sideways, a little help from the 196. Hard contact into the inside fence. Luckily enough for Stevenson, doesn't get really too much damage right there, and he'll keep on battling here in this one. But now for those drivers that took the fresh tires, obviously you see Keith Prince parked down pit side and not out there on the racetrack. When you look at Stevenson, he scored back in the 10th position. Caleb Kleiner, he's back here in the 9th spot. Even for Colton Hardy, back in position number 8. They're still, quite a ways away from our top 5, quite a ways away from our race leaders. And with another restart looming in the background here for David Traylor Jr., that's also a good break here for him. If you can kind of get it to where it's going to be that green-white checkered, or, maybe just 2 or 3 laps, maybe it'll give it not enough time for the fresh tires or anyone to make a move to get back around him here late in this race. And we're drawing in closer and closer to that checkered flag. And for a lot of these drivers, that intensity, that pressure level, it's all going to start to pick up more and more and more here, especially as they see these laps clip down and they get some time to think about it or overthink on what their game plan is going to be or what they need to do to either, help themselves or help their teammates out here this evening to try to put them into a better position. So we'll see how this one kind of unfolds with David Traylor Jr. getting ready for another big restart here with what will be 4 laps left to go here in this feature event, biting some more yellow flags out there on the racetrack. Would be Catania, our top 3, with Kevin Winker and Nick Gardner, our top 5. The 0-1 are Rooster Roddins, they're in 6 with 28 right on Nathan Somerville, the 97 of Colton Hardy, our top 8. The 196 of Caleb Kleiner, and the 51 of Tyler Stevenson, our top 10 out there on the racetrack. Ashley Ellison Jr., Nate Cogdell, Justin Lawson, Michael Newman, Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr., our top 15 as Prince parked down pit side here, probably done for the day. John Herbert scored back in 17th. Modesty, he's down pit road. Looks like he's done it out of this race. So, man, the Lady in Black has claimed, half a dozen or better trucks here this evening, and this field has been decimated. Quite a few tore up race trucks, and there we go. Bit of a restart guru, and for the 54 ride at David Traylor Jr., trying to play a little bit of a different strategy call there. Got a little bit of a later restart there, and for the 92 of Clinton Woodby, almost jumped that restart. Now you see some contact here between Catania and the 42 of Winker. Oh, baby, look at Winker and Ron tied together. Now the 51's up into the outside fence. Somehow or another, we're still clean and green. We're still rolling green here for David Traylor Jr. He's out in front. He's feeling A-OK, but here comes Clinton Woodby, putting the pressure to his back bumper. Catania's right there ready to strike. Nick Gardner's there in fourth with Colton Hardy. Some fresh tires on this 97 truck up inside our top five. Ash Elson Jr. rolls back in sixth with Nathan Somerville. Tyler Stevenson there in eighth. Caleb Kleiner back in ninth. Nate Cogdell rolls in position number 10. Heartbreaker there for Kevin Winker, who had a solid top five run in until that contact between him and the 318 machine. But here we go. Only a couple laps left to go. Who's it gonna be? Who's gonna take home the checkered flag? Three drivers duking it out here at the front. A few car lengths separating each of them. And if you're that 54 of David Traylor Jr., you're just hoping to see this white flag fly and hoping that you can keep this 92 and 318 off your back bumper here on the closing lap. As he heads down and out of corner number 4, back down across the start finish line. The white flag will be displayed. So this will be our final lap here this evening from Darlington. As David Traylor Jr. looking to try to pick up, I believe, his 4th win on the season, but he's got to hold off Clinton Woodby in that 318 of Catania as they head down the Boeing back straightaway for the final time here this evening. Catania will send it in there deep up on the high side. Woodby's going to look for a crossover, hoping to try to get a good run down low. Can't get there as David Traylor in the QH Designs number 54 will park his Kevin Harvick-inspired race truck into victory lane here at Darlington Raceway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for David Traylor Jr. as he's able to hold these guys off and put himself up and in to victory lane for the QH Designs Metalheads Truck Series Throwback Race here this evening, man. What a run, what a drive, what a performance. That was an exciting one, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of beating and banging, lots of battling, and he comes right down to the wire here this evening. And for the 54, able to put himself up and into victory lane, a track that is too tough to tame. Unfortunately, not too tough here for David Traylor Jr. as he is able to claim victory and put himself right back up into the winner's circle here, really claiming now his 4th win in the season. And he is looking stout here and hoping to try to pick up potentially the championship as Clinton Woodby comes home in second. Matthew Catania rounds out our top 3. Colton Hardy, Nick Gardner, our top 5 with Ash Ellison Jr., Tyler Stevenson, Caleb Kleinert, Nathan Somerville, and Nate Cogdell. Our top 10 out there on the speedways. We'll get them all stacked up, and we'll get ready to pull our top 3 up and into the booth here for some post-race interviews. Post-race interviews about to come up next here. Let's even get our top 3 up and into the booth right now. Where are they? Where are they going to be? Let me see here. Where are they at, chat? Where are they at, chat? Where are they at? Oh, let me see if I can find them. All right, we see Catania jump up there. Where is David Traylor Jr.? There he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, David Traylor Jr. So let's get him up here into the booth for his post-race interview. Hey, David, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Hey, Aaron, I got you.
David, man, what a run, what a race, man. Take us back through this one. Obviously, high intensity, a little bit of caution flag action, some big restarts here, and obviously some different tire and pitch strategy playing along here this evening as well. And you had your work cut out for you on these closing restarts. You have Woodby, Catania, Winker, Hardy, all these fast trucks right there on your back bumper. Some of them with, 10, 20 lap better tires than you, and trying to take advantage of them, but somehow or another you're able to just hit your marks, keep your foot in the throttle, and you hold them all off as you're able to tame the track that is too tough to tame here this evening and park that 54 up and in to victory lane this evening, man. Take us back through it. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, they're I don't know, the last 20 laps. I think that's probably the hardest I've ever drove at Darlington. I knew pretty much tire saving was out the window, and I had to drive. I had to drive my ass off. I knew they had fresher tires. I knew they were coming. I didn't know if I wanted cautions so I could get the jump and then get a couple laps and then caution, or if I wanted a green flag run and make them run me down. Um, I just didn't really know what to do, but no, I knew I had to kind of be a little dirty there. I threw some pretty ugly blocks on the 92. Um, Definitely banged doors with a couple guys. I'm not really proud of it. I tried not to turn anybody or wreck anybody, but I was a little more physical tonight than I normally am. Um, so I do apologize to whoever I made contact with throughout tonight. That I wanted to get it. I love this track. It's probably my favorite track. Um, it's technical. It can be tight. It can be loose. It can be everything, all in one corner. You never know what you're gonna get when you drive off into the corner. Um, but yeah, just never do really seem to get a good qualifying effort here. I have long run speed pretty much every time I come here. Don't have the short run speed that I need sometimes, but no, got the clean air after the stage, and was able to kind of make it work there. Uh, Planned on splitting that last stage into 3 segments, and got a really weird time caution. Then I tried to play the fuel strategy, and then we kept getting cautions, and then I went ahead and took my tires and made my bed and figured that was the last time I was coming in. Wasn't coming in again, and just made it work. But not without a little bit of nervousness and anxiety. We have plenty of incidents here. There's some guys that are hot tonight. There's some guys that are pretty fed up with one another. As Darlington, that's a product. I know it sucks to be one of them. I kind of like it. I like a little bit of a rivalry. I like it when some guys kind of go at it just a little bit within reason. I don't want it to get out of hand, but it makes the racing better. These guys push each other to the limit, and that's what we did here tonight. The 92 and 318 pushed me to the full limit of everything I had.
Absolutely. They were right there on you, making sure that if you made a mistake, if you slipped up or didn't get that perfect block in, then they were going to take advantage of it and steal this win away from you. But you're able to hang on and pick up, I do believe, now your 4th win on the season here this afternoon as you park that 54 Ryan back up here in victory lane. Man, obviously, throwback night here, sponsored by QH Designs. You got QH Designs on that race truck. Now, is that a Kevin Harvick inspired paint scheme? What was the thought process here this evening for the throwback?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite Kevin Harvick schemes. Between this one and then the black and gold or the black and silver car, um, I've got probably 5 or 6 die casts of this car behind me, all Kevin Harvick cars. So it's one of my favorite schemes, and Colton over at QH Design is awesome enough to put it together for me. Albeit on the Chevy. I haven't driven the Chevy all year. The hood shape threw me off a little bit, but we made it work. And like I said, this is one of my favorite schemes. I might just bring it out every so often just because I love this scheme, and I'm really glad that I was able to get the throwback night win. Usually that's a pretty fun one, and like I said, Darlington's always a fun race to do it at.
Yeah, absolutely. Fireworks on and off the racetrack here this evening in pure Darlington fashion, man. And a shout out there to Kevin Harvick here, as it was a very Kevin Harvick-esque race for yourself, as you're able to come through late in this one with that strategy, jump out in front, and then hold these guys up and pull yourself up and into victory lane. David, who'd you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance in capturing tonight's victory?
Yeah, first off, obviously thanks to the rest of the admin team for doing this with me. I just kind of do a little bit of live race control to what I can, throwing cautions when need be, and then handing out penalties in race. But Nate, he's the one that he's the one that turns the gears and makes it happen. And then Colton and Kevin, they help out, with little things here and there behind the scenes. Everybody's got a part in it, so sometimes they won't take credit, but I'll give it to them. Thanks to you for the broadcast on. I love going back and watching it on Peacemaker. I especially love watching it when I know the result. but watching the excitement you bring, the commentary, and that's something we're really thankful for. So a big shout out to you. Obviously, the main sponsor on the truck and the race sponsor, QH Design. I can't speak highly enough of them. Anywhere you are in the country, if you need shirts, hats, signs, whatever, do yourself a favor and reach out to them. They helped me out with my wedding a month or so ago, and now there's some QH Design product out there across the country, whether they know it or not. But huge thank you to them, and then the rest of the sponsors: Admin Box, CCRE Sports, Duck Donuts, Blair at the Winning Bid. Everybody has a hand in making it happen, and we're really thankful for them for doing that for us. And then shout out to the other two guys on the podium here, Clinton and Matt. They're the cream of the crop. Like I said, it takes 100% of my ability and my focus to beat them, and even if it's just barely, I wouldn't have been able to hold on for much longer there. So big shout out to them. And then thanks to my dad watching home and my wife for letting me do this.
Absolutely, brother. A heck of a show, a heck of a battle here tonight, and congratulations on picking up the win here in the QH Designs Metalheads Truck Series Throwback race here this afternoon. David, congrats on the win, and we can't wait to see you guys back in action again next Monday.
Thanks, Aaron.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, David Traylor Jr. as David picks up the dub and pulls the 54 up and into victory lane as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, the 92 of Clinton Woodby. Hey, Clinton, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Clinton, man, another strong run, another great race for you as you continue to just be that consistent driver each and every single week. Seems like you're up here in the broadcast booth. Obviously, you've had a few good wins on the season, and you're looking for another one here tonight. Unfortunately, those late race caution flags never really giving you a good enough or long enough run to go after David Traylor Jr. to try to steal that win away from him. You were there on his back bumper. You tried to get around him a couple times, but obviously, he's not just going to move over and give it up as he threw a couple blocks there, kept you back at bay. Unfortunately, just kind of killed your momentum and never really allowed you to kind of send it in below him or up to his outside to try to work your way into victory lane here this evening late in this race. But man, that was a hell of a show between you guys. Obviously, a lot of different tire strategies, different game plans throughout this race, and some of those late race caution flanks to really spice things up that much more.
Yeah, it was a pretty good day, I guess. There at the end, I thought and was hoping we was going to stay green because I knew David pitted a little earlier and took his tires than me, but I think having that late race caution just kind of helped cool his tires off a little bit and even him up with everybody else. But yeah, I had a run on him there coming out of 2 with like, I don't know, 2 or 3 laps left, and he just got really loose, and it was at the spot where I had to make a decision to pretty much wreck him, even though, it would have been racing. I wouldn't have had to go to the back or anything probably, but it ain't worth wrecking somebody to me. I'm not going to lie. I was trying to give him the bumper in 4 on the last lap. Anything goes. But yeah, if I could have got below him there coming out of 2, I think I might have had a chance at him, but whenever I had to lift there to just keep off of him, it just killed all my momentum.
Yeah, unfortunately killed your momentum, and by the time you were able to kind of reel him back in, you kind of ran out of time there, and you also had to be cautious because, you make a mistake, you slip up, you kind of lose that momentum again, and all of a sudden you fall back into 3rd or farther with Catania and Hardy, Gardner, so many fast cats right there behind you ready to pound.
Yeah, it was, I was just hoping to not be too wide going into 1 or 2 on those last restarts or at least for me anyway, starting on the bottom absolutely sucked tonight. You would just get freight train out of 2 because you kind of have to make a decision and hope the guy outside of you on exit of 2 is just going to hold his line and not bounce off the wall into you if you're too wide. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles there and know who you're racing around. But P2, I guess we'll take it. A win's always better, but yeah, it's definitely momentum and points. I think I got a few stage points. I got I think it was Colton. Something happened with him, and I pretty much lifted to keep from wrecking him too, and lost 5 or 6 spots during the stage. But we'll make up with it with a P2, I guess, and go on to next week.
Yeah, absolutely able to survive and live another day, and obviously able to battle again with that beautiful race truck. Now, a beautiful, throwback paint scheme here for you this afternoon, man. Take us, through the process there, and whose throwback paint scheme that may be for this afternoon.
Yeah. So the throwback that I picked was kind of random. Um, a few people has driven this truck, I believe, but the one I have, I believe, is Rich Bickle. And I don't know. This was always a little diecast truck that I had as a kid, and it just sticks out in my mind. So I just kind of went with that one.
Absolutely. Well, hey, you know what? Those, younger memories, those growing up and loving racing, and now being able to jump into the simulator and have it on your own race truck and being able to battle and try to put it up in victory lane here this evening is always a really, really cool story, and you're almost able to pull it off tonight, but you're able to still pull it into the podium here this evening. Clinton, who would you like to thank for a great run and great drive here this evening in that beautiful 92 machine?
Yeah, first and foremost, shout out to my girlfriend Megan. She's my #1 supporter. And Blair Peterson, the winning bid diecast. Go get everything NASCAR from him. And Colton for making the paint scheme. I don't know how many other people he made, but he's made a few paint schemes for us this year, so appreciate that. And you guys for the broadcast and everybody for putting this on.
Absolutely, brother Clinton. Congrats on the great run. Congrats on the great drive here this evening. We look forward to seeing you back out there on the Speedway next Monday.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Clinton Woodby, as Woodby comes in position number 2 here this evening, as we'll get ready now to pull in our third place finisher, the 318 of Matthew Catania. Hey, Matthew, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Matthew, man, great run, great drive for you here this evening. Obviously, starting on the outside of the front row, it didn't take long for the driver to your inside. Somerville makes a mistake down into corner number 1. You're able to take over that race lead, and all of a sudden, you're able to just kind of stick on cruise control there. Even with a few restarts early in this race, you're able to put yourself, into the winning position for stage number 1. So you get those bonus points into your back pocket, and then for this final stage, obviously a little bit of different strategy when it comes to those pit stops and obviously that middle kind of run there of the first wave of green flag pit stops. We see that caution flag come out. That kind of throws a big loop into everyone's strategy, and then you just gotta kind of play your cards right. And here late in the race, come back down pit road on lap 102 for the final time, and you're battling your way back up through there, trying to avoid some more of the carnage and chaos, and slowly but surely you navigate your way back up here into the top 5, and through these late race restarts, duking it out with Winker and Woodby and David Traylor Jr., and trying to pick up the dump here this evening. Unfortunately, just fall a few spots shy of the win this evening, but a solid third place run, man. Take us back through it. What's kind of going through your mind after a crazy night of battling here at Darlington?
Yeah, man. We were definitely fast all night. I mean, I don't know if we were that fast on the long run compared to some people, but I felt like I had some really good short and medium run speed. Yeah, I mean, clean air just means so much. I mean that as soon as you lose a spot, like I did under, I can't remember if it was the stage. Trailer beat me off pit road, and it was just once he got in front of me, it was just so hard to really make anything happen, and I was burning my stuff up to get closer and closer to passing him, and um, kind of messed me up on the long run there, messed me up for the cycle. Uh, we were able to run up front most of the race though, and then that final stop, I don't know how, but I got a speeding penalty, and that put me to the back. So um, really had to use them up to get back up to the front. I feel like if it stayed green, I would have had something for him. But that late race caution, that cluster of cautions, kind of evened us out. I feel like. Um, I just want to say, I mean, I wasn't trying to get into Winker there. I really don't even know what happened. Just looked like we were close and bumped each other. But he tried to take me out in the next restart, and obviously that didn't work for him. Um, Overall, good race, good run for the team. We all finished in the top 10 again. Uh, yeah, not much else to say here. I feel like I could have done better.
Yeah, absolutely. Always the what ifs after a fast truck and coming up just a few spots shy of another victory here this evening. But Matthew, still a pretty good run, good point staying for yourself, man. Who would you like to thank for good performance out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody on the team. We did some testing yesterday and figured some stuff out, and I feel like that translated today pretty well. So good run to them. Uh, Thank you for my girlfriend for supporting me and letting me do this every Monday, and thank you for broadcasting. Thank you for Nate for putting this on.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we can't wait to see you back out there again next Monday night and see if you can try to gain those couple extra spots and put yourself right back up and into victory lane.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna try. It's gonna be a hard one.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to it.
All right. We'll see you, man.
Yeah. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there we go. Our third place finisher, Mr. Matthew Catania. Catania coming home, rounding out our top three here this evening, man. What a run, what a drawing, what a performance by all these competitors, man. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of back and forth and up and down and hard contact, heavy damage, lots of rubbing and scrubbing, around the speedway lap after lap after lap. And it comes right down to the very end here. A nail biter back down and across the line for David Traylor Jr. to pick up the victory and pull his beautiful number 54 ride into victory lane here this evening. Unfortunately, though, that is going to do it for us here today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We can thank you guys enough for tuning in. Everyone coming in, showing the love, enjoying some great racing action. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor, hit the like on the stream. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn those bell notifications on, and hopefully we see you guys back in here again tomorrow night for some more great racing action here on Peacemaker Gaming. As we'll be right back in these NASCAR trucks and going right back to battle here tomorrow night around 8:30 Eastern time. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you have those bell notifications turned on. That way you don't miss any of the green flag action, as unfortunately, that's going to do it for us here in this one, man. We can't thank you guys for watching, tuning in, and showing the love here this evening. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow night. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Mellow bass screaming, rubber birds on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Peacemaker, friction sparks light the night. Track of war sounds, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lane. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my six, but my grit don't waver. Drafting wind sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Rivals on my six, but my grit don't waver. Drafting wind sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Tires grip tight, flames dance on steel. Spins and skids twist, every moment surreal. Checker flag whispers, a siren's call. Only one metalhead lies above it all. Turbocharged fury on straights we fly. Nitrous veins pumping, we touch the sky. Back grandstands buzz, saying our name. Each lap we caught ignites the game's flame. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna